Gossip, gossip. Everyone loves gossip.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
And we're back, and we're live for another edition of Heavy Muscle Radio. Got Chris Aceto in his winter jacket, which means it must be cold up there in Maine. And it's 85 down here in Florida. What's up?
I shoveled an inch of snow last night. I'm still cold.
Did you ever do the broom method? You ever brush it off your stoop?
On a powdery, yeah, I'll just sweep it. Of course I do the broom method.
Sweep it. That's my grandfather.
If it's fluffy.
My grandfather would be out there sweeping. He'd be sweeping like for every 20 minutes he'd go out there and sweep the snow. He said it's more efficient. He told me though, don't use any of those soft brushes. You got to get the hard bristle ones.
Yeah.
The soft bristle ones don't work as effectively, according to my grandfather.
Yeah, I was just happy with that.
This is the first show we've done.
What's that?
I said this is the first show we've done live in a while, but I will say this. I'm very happy. A lot of people say, do you miss New York? Do you miss being up there? And I'm like, usually the answer is no. But every time I might even have an inkling of like, I might want to be up there, I see the weather and I'm like, nah, I don't miss it. And I'm going to be up there next weekend too. See Greg Valentino.
When I used to do Floridas in the winters, I'd never look at the weather report anywhere. Why would you look at a weather report?
No, there's no reason to, right?
Yeah.
I sometimes I sell snakes and I'm like, they're like, someone will buy a snake from me and I'll be like, oh, you want me to ship it Monday? He goes, it's like negative 25 here. You can't ship it. It's going to freeze. I said, oh, I didn't realize how cold it was because it's 80 degrees here. So, it's funny. You definitely get this little Florida bubble, I always call it.
I knew you were going to say bubble. You're in a little bubble down there.
Yeah.
You.
I took the kids to, it was my son's 10th birthday. I can't believe he's 10 years old already. It's insane. And I took him he's 10 years old on January 10th. That's a pretty good, it's a good balanced birthday right there. So we went up to Busch Gardens and we luckily, like I said, it was 80 degrees the whole day. They were splashing around in the water and we went on a ride. We got soaked. I'm like, man, guys, you have no idea how bad it is up in the Northeast right now in New York and all those states up there. It is cold.
You got to keep in mind, Dave, in New York and Maine, taxes are really, really low because of the weather. It makes sense. Because it would make sense if you said, well, people are freezing up there. I said, well, you got to keep in mind there's no taxes.
Right. But I will say one thing about to bring this back to bodybuilding. When I was a runner in college and high school, I hated weather. I hated the winter. I hated the summer because in the summer it was too hot to run outside, and I would run anyway. And it's like stifling. Yeah. And in the winter, you can't put enough clothes on, and you don't want to put too much clothes on because then it's uncomfortable to run with the clothing on. So I hated the super cold and snow, and I hated this insanely hot temperatures. And when I switched to bodybuilding, I was so happy because it's in a controlled environment. It doesn't matter if it's freezing outside. It doesn't matter if it's sweltering outside. You have air conditioning and heat. And so I never really worried about the weather. The only thing I would worry about is if it snowed too much, and then maybe the gyms would be closed. But somehow I got to give Steve Weinberger credit. That guy never shuts that gym. That Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym is open every day of the year. Christmas, it's open. It might have some abbreviated hours on Christmas, but it's open Christmas. It's open Thanksgiving. The gym never closes. The weather would have to be I can't even tell. I don't even know what would shut that gym. Maybe if there was no, I think when there was no electricity and during COVID is the only time you ever closed the gym because you didn't have a choice. But I loved that I could always get to that gym no matter what and get a workout in. In the snow, especially, and over the holidays, Chris, that place is packed. He must make so much money on guest passes because anyone in the tri-state area will drive to that gym to train on those days. So,
Yeah, that's how you
love it.
You
so
know,
I love
it's all-
bodybuilding, being in a controlled environment.
It's one healthy addiction, but people gonna travel on Christmas, holiday.
Yeah, but it's good because you don't have to worry. You're not beholden to the weather, whereas a lot of other sports outside. I was watching the New England Patriot game, and they were freezing. They took us off there at Foxborough Stadium. So, it amazes me, Chris, at this point in time, why every stadium is not domed in a controlled environment. Why do they have outdoor stadiums anymore?
Yeah, it's strange. Costs, I guess.
Or
Costs.
It have retractable roof so you can close it up. Like I know a couple of the stadiums have that now.
Costs, Dave. It's
seems
not
pretty
good
ridiculous.
to build 12 brand new stadiums for the World Cup just for one event with domes.
with those.
With retractable domes, if they wanted to open them. 12, not
We
one.
Listen, all I know is that if I was going to build some kind of mega structure here in the in America, I would get the Arab guys to go do it. Right?
Yeah, why not?
I would get the Qataris to come here and build some domes here because they know what they're doing, obviously. The Qataris have air conditioning, Chris, in every seat. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know that.
Because I guess during the World Cup, it gets so hot there that they actually have air conditioning out. It's outdoor air conditioning blowing on you.
Yeah. Same thing with bus stops and all the bus stops.
That's right. You sent me that bus stop. Yeah, you sent me the bus stop, right? It has air conditioning. That's great. I loved it. Their bus stops are nicer than our McDonald's here.
Isn't it crazy? Bus stops with air conditioning. The bus stops in my building have homeless people, like 20 people camped in the side.
I know.
Fentanyl.
I don't think they allow homeless. I don't think they have homeless people. I never saw one homeless person in all of Qatar or Dubai. Have you?
Never.
Never. Not one. So.
What's that mean?
All right.
What's that mean?
That they obviously. It's one of two things: either they don't allow them and they kick them out of the country, or they actually give them housing, which is probably what it's I believe it's the second option. So they don't have an illegal problem there. That's why. So they have room to put the people who are actually from their country who have no place to live. That's the difference. That's another debate. All right, let's. I want to talk about Kai Greene for a second because there was a little controversy. I did a little rant on it the other day. And Kai, I guess Justin Compton was being interviewed on the Overcome podcast. And he was, they were talking about Kai Greene. And I don't want to go into the whole thing, but really the gist of it was that Justin basically said that, he thought that probably Kai should have won the Olympia, but he didn't because politically speaking, it wasn't, his past, where he did some of his exotic, videos online hurt him. And that's why he didn't believe they allowed him to win the Olympia. Matter of fact, he went as far as to say that even if Phil wasn't there, he still believes that Kai wouldn't have won the Olympia. Like they would have put someone else in there. Do you believe that to be true?
No, because I think we talked about this last week. I thought I never was at an Olympia where I thought he beat Phil. So that's one. I was at shows where I thought he beat Phil. I was at the Arnold.
I agree.
2013 where I thought he should have beaten Phil. But at an Olympia, I didn't see him beating Phil. And of course, he did beat Phil at the Arnold. Right?
Yes, he did. Which I thought Phil actually deserved it. I thought Phil deserved to win that Arnold, actually.
I would agree with you there that I thought Phil beat him at at that Arnold where he beat Phil.
Right.
That's my,
He was good at Arnold.
and then at the Olympia, like I said, I never thought.
Yeah, 2010, I believe it was.
What were the years where he was against Phil? 13, 12. Give me the years that he would competed against Phil. 14, 13, 12.
There was 4 years. There was 4 years.
And which is the year
4 years that
his fans were screwed out of the win? Because you have to.
I didn't think that Kai deserved it.
Well, that's my point. That's my point. I mean, he's an unbelievable bodybuilder. You know,
right.
Look, he also beat Cedric. He won 2 Arnolds. Right?
He won 3 Arnolds, Kai. Kai won 09, 10, and then what was the one he beat Cedric at? 13 or 14, something like that?
Yeah, whatever. So he won 3, and the one against Phil and the one against Cedric were certainly at a minimum ridiculous, if not suspect, meaning I wouldn't use the word suspect. I would just, my personal opinion is he lost 2 out of 3 of those. I think Phil.
Yeah, the one he beat Cedric was because they wanted the posing round. That was they judged that posing round.
He didn't beat him technically in the bodybuilding portion. He only beat him in the entertainment portion. That was the year that Arnold was pushing after Arnold went posing crazy. But it's I mean, I don't agree with that because there wasn't a year where I left like in Olympia and had Phil winning. And I think Kai winning. And I think that if you went through our prejudging of final wrap-ups, I'm 100% sure I would have gone with Phil in the wrap-ups, having, sat 20 rows deep at those shows.
Yeah, I don't remember, Chris, either, a year where I said, and I was a big Kai Greene fan. I don't remember a year where I said, I think Kai should have won this show and he got ripped off. It seemed like he always came in a little bit off and Phil just edged him out at those Olympias. So Kai, let me play with Kai. Let's play with the Kai video, what Kai's response was to what Justin said, just for the heck of it. Okay.
About being intelligent enough to be diplomatic. You know what I mean? Because then that way you don't have to backpedal later on and apologize with empty nonsense for stupid shit that you could have just kept in your own mouth, kept it to yourself. You didn't win an Olympia. Last time I checked, there's not as many accomplishments to your credit yet. So if you are still working and you believe that it's within your capability to do something of greatness, take that energy that it would take to do that, shut up, and get the work done. That was Kai. So Kai was obviously visibly upset with that he said that. And the only reason why I don't think it was relevant what he said was because, it was his opinion, of course, which I support Justin's ability to give his opinion. But I didn't think Kai deserved the victories like you and I said at that Olympics. If it would have been completely lopsided, shy, easy the show, and they still didn't give it to them, that's a different story. So I think Kai was insulted by the fact that he said that. But I don't think Justin said it in a way that was meant to be insulting. But then Justin came back with another video and basically told Kai to go F himself if he thinks he's going to get an apology from him. So, so it got heated at that point. It didn't have to, So,
I think what's most.
But I understand Kai has been disrespected. That stupid video he did with But I lost Chris here for a second. Chris, don't you think though by now, Kai has been hearing his whole career this stupid, grapefruit, video thing, and I think he's just because especially on social media, they find the one thing, your one weakness, and they keep sticking their finger into that one weakness and pushing that button. They do it to all of us. They do it to everyone, and I think Kai is just sick of hearing about it. You can't hear me? Chris. Can you hear me, Chris? No, we lost Chris. Anyway, I think that Kai is just sick of at this point, and he doesn't want to deal with it. And quite blame Kai. At this point, hearing it, he did something that he probably regrets years ago, and he wants people to judge him on who he is now, and he doesn't want to have to defend himself to, guys that have been around forever. They should know better. And I know Justin wasn't saying it to be malicious at first, and then when Kai's heated response, Justin got all triggered and then went crazy on him. But at the end of the day, Kai's legacy is who Kai is and what Kai contributed to the sport. It's not the stupid video he did years and years and years ago. And I don't think, like you and I said, Chris, I don't believe the judges negatively scored him because of that at all, because I think they're very fair. And as a matter of fact, I know guys that have done way, way worse than what Kai has done, and it didn't affect their placings ever. So I don't think that had anything to do with Kai not winning the Olympia.
Dave, I think what's relevant is, did Justin think that he should have won the Olympia? Did Justin think that Kai should have won an Olympia?
I don't know. That's a good question. Because the way he kind of laid it out, you would think he would, right? Because
there's no need to comment.
Otherwise, why would you bring that up?
There's zero reason to comment on it because it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Unless you, in fact, thought that he got screwed in at least one Olympia. That's why I started with.
Right.
It's hard to comment on it simply because, I have no horse in the race, but I was never at a Olympia where I thought Phil lost that to Phil. Like I said, I was at the Arnold in 2013 in Spain, and I thought that Kai won that show.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah. Was that the one that who was in that show with him?
That was a lineup. It was Phil was first, Kai was Dennis, a very, very good Dennis Wolf was third.
Wolf, right, was third. That's what I was thinking, right.
I think Sean was fourth and Victor was fifth.
Yeah, that's good. That was a good lineup. I think they threw Phil that show, if I remember correctly, because he had just won the Olympia. Then it was like the week after, right?
Like one week after, and that's Phil was phenomenal. 2013 at the Olympia, and he was just flat.
Right.
Spain, which tells me that Phil was just peaked to the max. The Olympia, you just can't hold it. So he came in flat looking and crazy full and dense at that. But of course, we had. I think Lee Thompson may have been judging that.
Yeah, notoriously back then they would do that. They would throw the guy who wins the Olympia the win no matter what. But I actually like the judging in the last 10 years has been so good because we've seen Olympia guys lose. Like the show the week after. It's like every time we see a show, we don't know who's going to win the show, which is kind of fun in a sense because there's always a new champion being crowned, and it's. What they're doing is they're actually judging the show, and whoever deserves to win wins, and that's the way bodybuilding should be. But notoriously, historically at least in the past, because there's been Olympia guys that have won so many Olympias in a row, the trend was to tend to throw it to the Olympia guy if it's close. If it was, obviously if it's a knockout, it's a different story. But when it's close, they give it to the reigning Olympia guy, and so. It's kind of cool now because when we go to these Olympias and the Arnolds, we don't know who's going to win, Chris. And we have to judge it from like as if it's like a show of unknowns, really. And that always makes it more exciting, I think, when you don't know who's going to win. Although it would be nice to have someone who comes in and dominates for a couple of years with a devastating physique. We just haven't seen that yet,
Yeah, I will say though that it's just crazy that guys still. Like reliving all this. I mean, he is being. I wouldn't say he's reliving it. But we're still debating.
I don't agree with this guy.
Olympia was 14 or 15.
Yeah, This guy is saying that's the worst judging in the last 10 years. I totally disagree. I don't know what shows you're watching. Chris and I are at all these shows. So, do you agree with this statement, Chris? Kai would have been Mr. Olympia if he didn't quit.
I think
he would have kept going.
I think those are completely idiotic statements. I hate the ifs.
Okay.
That mean nothing, right?
Well, he didn't beat Cedric at that show, so how is he going to win Mr. Olympia? After that,
I mean that's what retired him, and the reason I know that is after prejudging, that's it. Kai won't compete again.
You said that, yeah. You said that to me.
Yeah, he told me that after prejudging, meaning, you can't get by me. You think you're going to get by Phil?
Right. No,
Yeah.
true.
You can't say it would have been Mr. Olympia if they had, just got in condition, or someone would have been if he just had hamstring. This guy, if he just had kept going, he didn't keep going, which is, ironic. I guess he was at the, his wit's end, but, Jay kept going. He got the Olympia after losing to Ronnie in 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. Sean got the Olympia after losing it, 2000, whatever it was, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Ramy kept on going.
Did Kai miss an opportunity when after Sean was not allowed to compete in 19 and Brandon won? Was that Kai's year? Could that have been Kai's year that he could have gone in there and won? Would he have beat Brandon, do you think?
He had the muscle to beat Brandon. We just don't know what the midsection.
Right. Yeah.
Number one, get older. I mean, Bill didn't have the midsection that he had at 13. Jay didn't have the midsection at 2013, 12, 10 that he had in 2000, 2001. And your midsection gets wider. And, so how would have his midsection looked? He definitely would have had enough muscle to win that.
Yeah, that's the question.
Because Kai was going up. Kai had touched, but he was going up against Phil, who just had a unique set of hands and a unique set of roundness that was very, very.
Yeah.
Phil was never going to lose, Dave, somebody with, like, in my opinion, with tons of muscle. It was going to be against an all-time best Sean or an all-time best Dennis Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Phil's never going to be vulnerable against a bigger guy. He's going to be vulnerable to somebody maybe like Dennis Wolf, who's the widest guy on stage with the biggest knee taper. His shoulder structure goes Phil's, and Sean with unique time wasn't going to lose to like a mass monster.
Yeah, Kai still teases that he might compete again. I mean, I think a lot of it's just marketing on his part, but he is really big still. Chris. I mean, did you see him at the Olympia? I took those pictures with him and interviewed him a little bit. He's enormous still. I mean, he might not be as big. He's got to be like 280 at least. I mean, at this point, he's what is he, 52?
He didn't throw his hat in the Arnold for this type of money. The hat is not coming off the head.
That's right. I would imagine that. But why do you think he's still so big?
Because people don't like to be small. Because their identity is up and being big.
Yeah, but even the ones who have that problem, a lot of it, we all downsize eventually. I mean, even Dennis James has gotten down in size now recently. So,
well, it takes a lot of
work.
Because it takes a lot of work to be big. You know what I mean?
No, it does. The eating alone, Chris, is crazy.
I'm into the gym, the time. So he's obviously still training and eating right. It's huge.
He's enormous. He looks really impressive still. Like I said, I don't know if in the back of his head he still thinks maybe I'll compete again. I don't know. What I would like to see, I don't want to see him do the regular Olympia because I don't want to see Kai get beat, but I would love to see him do make someone sweeten the pot enough for him to get on that Masters Olympia stage, just so we can see him one more time. I want to see him against guys that he compete, that his age that he can beat. I don't want to see him next to Derek Lunsford and Hadi Chupin and Andrew Jack because he's not going to be able to beat those guys now. But I want to see him against like the guys that are in their 40s and 50s and stuff like that because I think that's a group of guys he can beat and be competitive with. And just for the old one more time. I mean, we saw Levroni, we saw Flex Wheeler. They weren't at their best, obviously, but it was nice to be able to just see them up there again because they were kind of like guys we all looked up to. And it doesn't even matter how they placed, but obviously, Kevin doing the Mr. Olympia was just too big of a show. But if he would have done the Masters, it would have been a little bit more competitive. So I would love to see Kai Greene up there, maybe winning a Masters Olympia title. I think that would be nice. I mean, Robbie got an Olympia title. I kind of compare Robbie Robinson to Kai Greene. They kind of remind me a lot of each other in the way their careers went and stuff like that. And I just think that Kai Greene would be it would be nice for him to retire, even if it's a Masters Olympia title. I'd like to see him get that, wouldn't you?
I only like to see see the guys when I remember them at their best, and not like. I think it's somewhat embarrassing to see them on stage when they're getting smoked by people who wouldn't even stand a chance against them in their prime.
Right. Well, that's why I'm saying I don't want to see him do the Open Olympia. I'd like to see him do Masters Olympia. Just to get the title. Just for the title, Chris.
The title is like a joke. Masters.
It's still it's an Olympia title. Robbie Robinson, Vince Taylor won a bunch, right? I mean, Louis was trying to win it. Louis would have loved to retire with a title, with an Olympia title under his belt.
Weren't like 99 pro shows a week, with contests the world, with pro qualifiers everywhere, million pro cards, shows. There's only so much attention that bodybuilding, and so it means that the Olympia match, when Robbie was. Or Lou Frigg, had a little bit more different significance to it. Especially that people competing at it were former like high-profile Olympians.
Right. True.
Nothing against
Olympia
this year, but he was never Olympian. Right?
True. Yeah, that's true. I would like to. Did you see that they made it? They just wrapped this on another topic totally. But did you see they just finished wrapping on Spaceballs 2? Mel Brooks is still going at almost 100 years old. This guy's unbelievable.
I didn't even know he's still alive.
He's still alive. He's almost. I think he's 100 or he's close to 100. The guy's unbelievable. Spaceballs 2. Well, let me see if we can pull it up.
Dave, we know you're going to be at his premiere.
Look, you know what? When I see Mel Brooks, I think of my dad. That's because my dad loved Mel Brooks, and and they finished filming Spaceballs 2. It's great. I love to see Mel. See, we're talking about Masters guys. You see, it's never too late. As my friend Charlie Arms would say, it's never too late to be the man you could have been. So I think it's not too late for Kai Greene to come back and win an Olympia title, or even if it's a Masters Olympia title.
No one wanted to see Hulk Hogan lose to like some guy who was like 6 weeks in the WWE and like weighs 190.
No, well, the difference about WWE though, they make up the results. It's a soap opera. But look, you know what? I don't know what it is, and I understand where you're coming from. You want to remember Kai at his best, and I'm about that. I'm like that about myself. I want to remember, my physique at its best. That's why I would never compete again. But Kai's still big. and I know the Olympia was a title he always wanted, and I'd love to see one of these promoters of these Masters Olympias just throw him some money and say, let's get Kai on stage and get him an Olympia title, or at least give him the opportunity to try to win it. I can't see, and this is no disrespect against Phil Klahar or Dorian Hayward. I don't see those two guys beating Kai Greene, in a show, and so I think that even if people say, well, he only won a Masters Olympiad, who gives a shit? At least Kai can hang that little medal on his stand and say, I got an Olympia title. And I don't know if it would mean anything to him at this point, but I think it would, because you know what? I have to believe that he still loves bodybuilding, because the guy is weighing like I said, 280. He's got an enormous amount of muscle. He still trains and eats like he's, competing at the Olympia every year. Why not get on stage, man, and be able to show that off? I remember Chris, I was running when I was in college, my first year in college. I did. What?
You should call him up.
I should.
And
talk to him.
Under the Olympia, the money is there, and he's barely still young enough to do it.
Yeah.
In other words, maybe he has this, something hole in the back of your head, and you say like, "Oh, I'll get to that. I'm gonna do that goal," and like years go by. But if I had started, I would have already by now. Sometimes, back, because a lot of people who are good bodybuilders, and then they Gabe, can you prep me for a show? And you're like, why didn't you call me 5 years ago? You were still young enough to really make a good. Now you're right. You're too old.
Wasn't Al Beckles when Al Beckles was second at the Olympia? Wasn't he in his late 50s?
He was an anomaly. He was like a Kamal.
Yes.
Condition, Al Beckles.
He won shows at 60 years old.
Yeah, I think Milos verified his passport, right?
Yeah. Pull up Al Beckles. Yeah.
I think he won the Niagara Falls. That was Milos, I think.
You think we'll see Kamal on stage again?
Yeah, Kamal's still huge. With no injury.
Does he want to compete again? Because we haven't seen him for a few,
Yeah, he wants to compete.
Yeah, I know, no injuries, which is amazing. That's Beckles at like 60 right there. It's crazy. he probably was on like 3 Anavar pills and a shot of test a week too. There, he probably was almost on no drugs.
Yeah, the back detail.
I know. What year did he come in second at the Olympia? I can't remember now. Who was he? Was it behind
Haney?
I don't remember. It was behind Haney. Okay.
Yeah, but he wore blue trunks. See, where's John when I need him? John Hansen.
John Hansen. 85
He was
Olympia. He was yes.
So that was the second year Haney won.
Haney won, yeah.
84. Haney won the first year in 84.
Yeah. I maybe we should get Kai on the show. Maybe I should try to see if we can get Kai on the show and talk to him about this. The problem with Kai is it's hard to get him to really give you a definitive answer. It's so like
definitive answer out of him.
No, he's like, he hems and haws, and he kind of speaks in riddles. He doesn't want to commit.
You know how to get people to commit.
Yeah, I get him to commit, then change his mind.
You need to get him. You need to do an interview with him on a sit down, because sit down is very different from Zoom. Zoom, you can hem and haw. Your body can't read someone's body language.
Yeah.
They can put up a little fuss and fit and pretend that they didn't hear it, or they can be distracted. I always told you a great one-on-one would be you and Kai Greene.
Yeah.
Because the best story.
You know what? Yeah, and there it is. There's one right there. But that's in a booth, though. I think one of the favorite videos of all time from what people tell me is when I went to Kai Greene's house when he lived in the projects in Brooklyn. Filmed them there. And that was one of the first interviews I really on the scene interviews I ever did. That was like when we just first started doing interviews with them, muscular development.
He was living the antithesis of the Instagram lifestyle.
Yeah.
He was living in an old building, old apartment, nothing glamorous, walking around. Did he have a car?
No.
That's why. And you know what was incredible about that is that authentic. You were authentic. You know, that combo was like deadly in terms of delivering a story. That's before he took off. Became the real, you know what I mean, before his physique just like when he won.
Yeah.
Triple neck.
Well, I think it was the honesty of it was really impressive. I mean, he basically told me that, you know, we couldn't get in touch with him. And he's like, I said, Kai, did you pay your cell phone bill? He goes, no. He goes, I got to buy food. You know, contest prep, when I'm getting ready for a show, the food's more important. I'm not going to pay my phone bill. What do I got to pay that for? I don't need to talk on the phone. I need to be able to eat and train. So, which makes sense when he brings it up like that. I said, but Kai, we got to be able to reach out to you, get people have to be able to get in touch with you. And you know, I think Steve Bleckman paid his phone bill or something. I don't know what he did, but it was just funny. He just prioritized, you know, bodybuilding over everything, and it worked out for him. He made a lot of money in bodybuilding.
He paid the phone bill so he could bother him at night. Call him.
Yeah, right, exactly. Kai, how your glutes looking? You know, are they coming in? You gotta squeeze. You gotta squeeze. You gotta squeeze when you're in the gym. Squeeze the muscle. It's funny if you compare the Bleckman, David Pecker, and Joe Weider voices. They're all very similar, and it's not that but they all sound like each other. I wonder if like everyone tried to copy Weider, because Weider was the original, right?
Someone put them on AI, and they were like 1/2 of a degree of separation in their voice. All three of them.
Is that true? Really? I never saw that.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I bet you if someone compared them, they're very, very similar. All three of their voices. So, what that means, I don't know. But we would love to see Kai come back. I like I said, as a fan of the sport and as a friend of Kai, come on, one more time for old time's sake. It's like, remember when Jack Nicklaus won the Masters at like 46 years old? You remember that?
You remember it?
He won the Masters golf tournament.
Yes.
No one thought he could do it. People were counting.
That time, like,
what was he? 45? You said.
If he was 45, it was considered like this day and age. I mean, that day and age. You know, 40 became the new 30, 50 became the new 40. When you were 45, you were 45 and over the hill.
Yeah, it'd be like he was 60.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said it was one of the greatest, you know, achievements in sports at that age to be able to win the Masters. That would be like, you know, if Kai could come in and win another show, it would be a real feel-good moment. We'll put the green jacket on him like they do at the Masters.
How we get a
golf tournament?
Well,
but
when they said it was one of the best sports accomplishments, because in my mind, sports was still like football. You know what I mean? When you didn't see, like, nobody could come back at 45,
right?
Because of the actual physical activity.
Still is. Yeah. Guys are doing better now in their 40s than they did, you know. But you know, back then, 40, like you said, 5 was like 65.
I was commenting on your glasses. I didn't know you got them in the mail. I sent Dave my glasses. Same brand.
Yeah, I think we get the same. But I have them all over my house, Chris. I have a pair in every room of the house, pretty much at this point.
And
I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you. I don't know if that's. I wonder if you can hear me.
I can hear you. That's the RX muscle shitty audio.
Yeah, I don't know if it's me or you. It's probably me. I don't know what the problem is with the audio. I'm trying to not talk over you, but very hard to hear.
It's Dave. Tell him.
You're in the snow-filled Maine winter there.
Yeah.
How come you're not down in Miami? Don't you usually go to Miami in January?
I'm kind of over it a little bit, and
really,
and I'm enjoying. I'm working hard here, so I'm enjoying work. I like my work. Speaking of,
I got so much work. I get work.
Speaking of, I can only go
You
to
go
12.
to.
It's 12:03.
Yes, I know. Oh, you gotta leave. I have Sid on standby. You got to skedaddle.
Yeah. You can get.
Sid, can you join us? Actually, the funny thing is, I can't hear you, but everyone says that we can hear.
That's
right.
right.
Fine. So, all right, go run. I know you got to go, Chris.
Sid Baruki, voice of
Love you.
bodybuilding, real voice of bodybuilding. Take a poll. Who's got the best voice in bodybuilding? It's more competitive than Kai versus Phil, because I think that Bob Chick is an outstanding announcer, but I say polish, roundness, flash, tie-ins is definitely Sid.
I'll take it.
Compliments.
You heard it from the
Thank
technician.
you so much.
You heard it from the technician.
Look at one sentence and it sounds professional.
Mm.
When Sid comes
Yeah,
on,
I wanted to get.
who is the guy who used to be on CNN when they would break a real story when it first came on the air?
I don't think they had. Did they ever have a real newscast on CNN?
Yeah, no, they
Wolf
when they
Blitzer?
first. No, way back. Sid knows.
Was that before him?
I got to look. I know who you're talking about too. Oh my god.
Well, as
Right.
most people say, how about Walter Cronkite for the regular?
No, way
the
back, too
legacy
far.
News.
Too far. All right, I got a
Sid's
1 hour.
definitely Walter Cronkite. All right, go. We'll talk to you later.
All right, Chris.
I'll take him out here. All right.
All right. So first of all, can you hear
So
me
you heard
properly?
us talking about the Kai Green thing. What?
Yes, I did. First of all, can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Yeah. No. Because I wanted to make sure, because I'm having some. It's this kind of thing where if I ever go anywhere, I have to whatever. If I bring my camera somewhere, when I get back, I have to reset all the configurations and everything. That's really annoying. So
no, you're good.
So even when you asked me this morning, I was kind of yeah, I'll be there, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm gonna go set everything up. But so no, you're talking about Kai Green. Look, the rant that you did this past weekend, it's on the channel right now. I think the most the hard hitting point that you made, which I think really kind of carries a lot of weight in this conversation, is it's a greater conversation. Look, I think if you read the comments, there's a lot of seems to be a lot of missing gaps as far as the context in which Justin Compton said what he said. I don't think he meant it necessarily, and I don't think you were allaying this, but I don't think Justin meant what he said in an insulting way to Kai. I think he was saying it more so as far as well, look, Kai was great in his own right. Look, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that Kai Green was one of the best bodybuilders of the last 25 years. I think he was that good, and I think a lot of people would agree with that sentiment. What Justin's point was something to the effect of well, okay, could quote unquote they have given him the title? Were they ever inclined to give him the title, given what was already out there and then what could have been coming out there for years to come? Now, again, that's a totally different conversation for another time, but I think the point you made, and I think what really set Kai off, is that you're right. That may have pushed a button for Kai, right? That may have pushed a button that he was so close. He could have tasted the title. I mean, somebody in the comments brought up 2012. Many would argue 2014, that Kai was right there nipping at the heels of Phil Heath. Now, was he ever going to be Phil Heath? Again, that too is a conversation for another time. But for Kai, being the competitor that he is, and having come so close to hoisting the Sandow Trophy, it is always going to be a sore topic in his mind. Whether he ever steps on stage again, whether it's going to be at the Masters Olympia or any other show, that will always stick in his mind, as it would for many runner-ups. I mean, you go ask Victor Martinez how he feels about. You go ask Kevin Levrone, and Kevin Levrone has shaped his entire mindset on life and what happened and what was meant to be. But I think in the grander scheme of things and what you're trying to make, the point that you're trying to make is that, let not this overshadow the fact that Kai was great. Kai was one of the greatest.
Yes.
And I think we do take liberties when it comes to stuff like this. So Kai, to his own admission and to his own doing, he's not like everybody else, right? He's not going to be your prototypical, like if you ask him a question, hey, Kai, you're going to come back. He's not going to be like, well, David, listen, I think what's going to happen is that I have to look at him. But he's not going to be that guy, right?
No.
He is going to be the Riddler. And that's what makes Kai, right? But again, from the context of a bodybuilder, let not the eccentricities overshadow the fact that he was a great. And then there's the overshadowing, and then there's the disrespect. And I think that's kind of the point you're trying to make, that in a sense, leave Kai alone, right? Because again, it's like, what more did that guy need to do to establish the fact that he was great? And what have we all done to kind of tear down his legacy as a great bodybuilder?
Yeah. I think that he could have snagged an Olympia during that road in through Ramy reign had he stuck around. I know he was kind of getting a little older at that point, but I think that if he would have continued, your body gets more refined. I think he could have done it. I think he looked at it from the perspective that it wasn't worth it financially from him at that point, because he was making a lot of money not competing and just being himself. And so I think he was trying to pursue some acting stuff at that point that maybe didn't pan out for him. But I think that was his mindset. I think at this point, the guy's got really, really good. I don't think he's going to win any Open Olympias at this point, but he could certainly win a Masters Olympia, which would be nice. But I think his window kind of closed. Like, if he would have stuck around and kept going against Phil, he would have won eventually, because Phil's physique broke down, right? I mean, the year Roden won and the year Brandon won, and then the year after that, I think Kai could have won those Olympias. Obviously, at that point, it wasn't that important for him.
But Dave, think about the intersection of his life at the time. You said it, right? He was making more money off the stage. And at a certain point, look, he always knew he was going to pursue a career in acting. He always knew that the passion of comics was eventually one day going to be a professional endeavor in some way, shape, or form. And he always knew that. I mean, look what else he's doing right now? The artwork. That too was one day going to go from passion to a professional career.
Right.
Now, think about where he was at back in that era, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. 2016, right? He won the Arnold Classic.
Yes.
Right, 2016. Right. Now, you look at that physique and you say to yourself, all right, it's a shame that we're not seeing that on the Olympia stage. Now, at that moment, if he made a commitment to, all right, you know what you just said, Phil, yes, he is in the reign at that moment, pursuing title number 6 and then eventually title number 7. But you know what? If I stick with it and what I just showed in winning the Arnold Classic, I'm right there. And if whatever Phil comes in off,
Jay was there. How many years was Jay there? Jay was there 6 years before he won it, right?
If Phil doesn't have that, again, doesn't come back and for whatever reason is not Mr. Saturday Night, I might be right there in line for the title. Okay, well, then we look two years ahead. 2 years is a long time. 2 years is a very long time. And this, Dave, as well as anyone, as a professional, and I'm not saying professional bodybuilder, as a top-end Olympia title contender, 2 years is an eternity. 2 years is you step off that stage for 1 year and you never know if you're going to have what you had the year before on, in line for a title. Yeah. He had to have been going 60 miles per hour. The fact that he took his foot off the pedal. And again, it's not like he took his foot off the pedal because I just don't have that fire, that passion anymore. No. His objective at that point in time was, all right, look, whatever my frustrations might be it with the Olympia, be it with bodybuilding in general, I have such a big world ahead of me right now. I don't remember what year it was that he first got Stranger Things, but between I remember everything. There was like the independent projects, the Bollywood projects. There were a lot of different, films, projects, whatever that were in on Kai. I think he looked at that and said to himself, there's a much bigger world for me. But yes, if you look at it strictly from a bodybuilding perspective, let's say Kai was a regular Joe Schmo, like, I don't say Joe Schmo, but you know what I mean? Like the regular.
I think what happened was, I think he let Phil get into his head, and I think he had this, like, he didn't think he was going to win. I think he felt that they weren't going to let him win, and it derailed him. But but in a sense, sometimes when things like that happen, it changes the course of where you're going for the better. And I think it did work out for the best for Kai. Now, had the Olympia and the Arnold prizes been $750,000 during this time period, I don't think Kai would have left, because that would have been enough. That would have been enough motivation for him to say, you know what, I'm crazy if I leave now, because even second place is winning me $250,000 or more. So I'm not leaving, So I think the fact that the prize money wasn't insane, except for the first place, obviously, was a motivation for Kai to say, well, I can make more money not competing at this point. Nowadays, that would not be the case. Nowadays that would not.
Well, Dave, I mean, remember when we did the Arnold Classic wrap up 2 years ago? We had Dennis Wolf, right? And I remember he was like kicking himself. He was looking up at the stage, and he was like, "They couldn't have had this. They couldn't have had this prize package when I was competing." Do you know how many bodybuilders over the course of the last 10, 15 years are saying the exact same thing for the Arnold and for the Olympia?
Well, Sid, what people forget is they're like, "Oh, well, Dennis won 120 grand or whatever it was." Yeah, but half of that is taken in taxes. So he only
taken in taxes, exactly right. And
so it's not that much,
Right, and the other thing with Kai, I mean, the other thing that we forget, I mean, it wasn't a long-lived chapter, but it was still a chapter. Remember, he was trying to launch his own supplement line during that period of time.
Right.
Remember, he had so many different balls that he was juggling in the air. So again, hard to be able to look. If somebody from the future came to Kai at that moment in time and was like, "Hey, Kai, listen, stick around. I promise you, in 2 years, you're going to have a chance." That Phil Heath, the physique, the dominant physique that you see right now, that's not going to be forever. And then, oh, by the way, there is going to be a period in time which, look, your competition for the Olympia title is going to be Brandon Curry, William Bonac, and some guy who we've never heard of, but one day he's going to get his visa and come here. His name is Hadi Chupan. Now, obviously, yes, like you look at the hierarchy of great bodybuilders over the last decade or so, right? And I know we put up this post, and you know how it is. We put up a post where it's like we're talking about the top 10 bodybuilders, and I think I put like 15, 16 faces on that image, right? You can't name everyone. And of course, you start getting people coming out of the water of, well, how come they're not on that graphic? How come that? We're talking about the top 10. We're not talking about literally everybody that's competed at an Olympia or the Arnold Classic or the last 15 years or so, or whatever the case be. But my point being, if somebody had come and told Kai that, look, if you stick around another 2-3 years, just say what you have to say, do what you have to do, make nice with everyone, but you'll have a shot at the Olympia title or whatever the case be. Yes. But that is such in hindsight is 2020, because again, he had so much other things going on for him. So Dave, again, if somebody told you right now, look, Dave, I know you got a lot going on right now with RX Muscle, Species, your own coaching, your own app, but there's another world out there for you. There is, Hollywood is looking for some gigantic, whatever the case be, or whatever. They're looking for someone exactly like you, someone who's a former bodybuilder, whatever the case be. You now start to your attention starts to wander a little bit. That's just human nature.
True.
But
actually, it's interesting that you said that. I received an email from a independent filmmaker who is making a film, their first feature film, well known, very good following on Instagram. I'm not going to say who it is yet because I don't want to talk about it, and they said that they saw whatever, me online or whatever, and they're looking for some actors for this, and they sent me the audition, and I actually filmed an audition for them. I'm not allowed to show it because I have to sign a non-disclosure, but I actually filmed an audition for a part.
There you go.
No acting experience, so you never know. I could be the next big Hollywood. I could be The Rock. No, but I understand. But you're making a very good. But you make a good point. Because let's say I did get this movie, for instance, and then someone like me, the way I looked in this movie, and they wanted to make another one, it could definitely derail the direction you're going in. And I know Kai is very creative. I love his creativity. You know, I'm the biggest supporter of all the creative endeavors. I've had Pete when he did that Kai Green variety show a few years back, and I loved it. I thought he should have continued with it. It was like the Flip Wilson show, only with Kai Green. It was dancing and singing and costume changes. It was phenomenal. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it just didn't work out. It was probably a lot of work on his part. That's probably what it was.
No, look,
but I still, you know, I think at the end of the day, the fans would love to see Kai. I'm surprised Kai did stop. I really am, and I think he must have something. But I don't think he's telling us the whole story. Something made him stop in his mind. Something told him, you know what, you've gone as far as you can. I had a point like that. No one came and talked to me. I had a point where I said, you know what, I'm not going to do better than I did last year. There's no reason for me to continue. I don't want to jeopardize my health any more than I probably already did. And I was done. And so, you know, that might have been Kai. Kai might have said, you know what, I don't want to get small, but this competing is not for me anymore. I don't need it. I can make money not competing. Let the mystique of my physique do the talking. I don't need any more titles. I won the Arnold 3 times, and I've been second at the Olympia, 4 or 5 times. So I think that I think he was, you know when you're done in your mind, you know when you're done.
No, look, I mean, you or any top end bodybuilder would be able to profess to this statement, but you know, look with Kai. You just interviewed him, just a few months. I mean, forget about the Arnold Classic, the one that we showed earlier in this episode.
Yeah.
We saw him at the Olympia, the movie premiere, right? At this past Olympia. The guy is still in great shape. I mean, the guy is still
he's huge.
I mean, again, he's huge. Exactly. I mean, he still is carrying around, you know, I don't want to say whatever stage ready physique, but a physique where you're right. There's a mystique when you see him, you say to yourself, what's he thinking? What's he planning? You know, he still looks great. He'll still drop the occasional workout footage where, again, he's in a tank top. You see his arms.
He's this wide. He's so wide.
Right.
He doesn't even fit in the screen. You know, he's so wide.
Right. So, but, you know, look, I kind of wanted to make another point as far as, like, you know, we talk about Kai, right, and sort of the disrespect. You know, I feel like that's kind of a product of the society that we're living in. I mean, if you think back to Phil's dynastic run, right, and again, because Kai and Phil are always going to be inextricably linked in bodybuilding history. You know, Phil now, right? I mean, again, it's a different time, a different era. Phil is a lot more. Think about the amount of conversations you, again, as Dave Palumbo, as a media personality, have had with Phil now, as opposed to when, you know, he was at the peak of his powers, right? It was a different time back then. And, you know, when he was in that dynastic run, you saw how bodybuilding fans, you know, again, there was not much of a celebration of foreseeing greatness, right? It was like, all right, yo, this guy, you know, come on, Kai, or come on, Cedric, or, you know, somebody else knock this guy off, right? Or, you know, again, the distension conversation started, what was it, in 2016, right? And then it was like, oh, well, Big Ramy, this is going to be his best ever, and he's going to beat him in 2017. Well, look, you know, sometimes we now look back and revisionist history is, oh my God, Phil is truly one of the best. He may have actually been the best of all time, what have you. But during his run, we were content to just treat him as the villain, which again, he adopted that role.
Well, that was toward the end of his career. I think,
right.
You know what happens though, Sid, because people get sick of seeing the same person in there, and then they find you a weakness that you have and they exploit it.
They find one little thing exactly to pick at.
I'm so happy I didn't have to compete in the social media era, because it's a lot of criticism to take. And, you know, bodybuilders are very self-conscious about everything that anyone says about them anyway, because we want to be perfect. We're looking for perfection. So, I mean, to have someone constantly harping on something that you've done, that was the point of the video I did with the Compton video that I responded to, because Kai's just sick of hearing the grapefruit story, just like Phil's sick of hearing the distension story.
Right.
Just like I'm sick of hearing, you know, the fake GH story, you know.
Of course.
All right, enough is enough already. Just stop with the bullshit already. Can you guys just focus on the positives of what people have accomplished? And, you know, after a while, it's just enough is enough. People can't take it anymore. And you know, I have very thick skin. I don't really give a shit what people think about me. But a lot of people don't have that going on, and I understand people are Kai's a very sensitive guy. if you've ever talked to him, if you know anything about him personally, I mean, I've known the guy for 30 something years, and he's sensitive, he's artistic, he's emotional. I could block my emotions very easily. He's not like that. He wears them on his sleeve and he takes things personally. And, he's just sick of this garbage. And I think he just got sick of what Justin said. It wasn't that I don't think he dislikes Justin. He's just like, who the hell are you to tell me, I didn't win the Olympia for a certain reason. Maybe I wasn't good enough on those days. And that's why I didn't win the Olympia. So I understand. He's sick of hearing it. And just like everyone, Dorian had Sean Ray constantly harping on his torn bicep, and Ronnie, they were harping on the fact that his lat was smaller toward the end, that last year or two of his reign. And it's very easy. And you know what? Once social media became the main thing, now everyone is on full display. Poor Derek. Derek Lunsford wins 3 of the biggest shows in bodybuilding, and
nobody
does win the 3 biggest shows. He's the Triple Crown winner, something that no one thought anyone could accomplish. All they're doing is criticize the guy. Now they're trying to say he put PMMA in his legs. It's the stupidest thing of all time. And but that's what these guys have to endure now on social media, because everything is on display, and every 10 seconds there's a new story springing up. I mean, from this episode alone of Heavy Muscle Radio, there'll be 25 clips on everyone's Instagram about what we're talking about. Because that's interesting, right? And people like to debate. Now, we're not competing, but imagine the guys that are competing that are constantly being, critiqued and criticized and dissected. It's exhausting after a while. Well, but so, I do want to end.
Yeah.
Say your final thing, and then I will tell you.
No. I was going to say, look, if you're signing up to be a bodybuilder in this day and age, you know what you're signing up for. You are competing in the social media era where, look, we're talking about debate. It's not debate anymore, Dave. It's rage bait, right? Rage bait is what sells, be it in bodybuilding, be it in any genre of social media. Rage bait is what gets clicks. Rage bait is what stirs conversation. That's just the reality, right? With Derek is going through, in my opinion, what Phil went through during his dominance, right? Where with Phil, it was, again, you wanted to pick at any chance you could to bring him down, right? And now we look back 10 years later and we're like, oh my God, man, we had it good with Phil. Phil was dominant, man. Phil was, man, look, Phil, it's a shame that Phil was tied down to a contract, because if social media, or he had a little bit more freedom with media, oh my God, he would have been such a personality during his dominant era. And now with Derek, it's, again, and I want to take this a quick second to talk about the whole Triple Crown thing, because I think people poke fun at that. And it's like, think about what you're poking fun at. It's the Pittsburgh Pro, which, again, fine. It was only, the first year, whatever, as an open class competition, what have you. That attracted a quasi-Olympia lineup, right? Arnold Classic, as of 2020, has been a as 2022, has been a quasi-Olympia lineup. And then there's the Olympia, obviously. He's winning these shows in the same calendar year, right? So, again, whether you want to say, okay, whatever accusation you want to make, at the end of the day, it's you're judged against who you're competing against. And your only assignment in that is to beat, whoever's standing next to you, be it Nick, be it Samson, be it Hadi, or whoever, right? So again, there is hate, there's misplaced hate, but then there's also, okay, now you start to take the quantitative aspects of it. People make fun of the fact that, okay, well, he's a religious guy, he's an openly religious guy, he's an openly family man, he's this, he's that, and whatever the case be. And I'm just like, again, there's no winning in this era. There is no winning. Yeah. You can come out and be cardboard boring, and people will call you cardboard boring. You want to show a little personality, they're going to call you cringe. You come out and you're a little bit more, you expose a little bit more about your personal life, about what you eat, what you train, what have you, and they'll find an opinion on that. The only
but you know what? The best.
I was going to say, look.
The best response to what you're saying, though, is you have to be one of two ways. You either have to be Boston Lloyd, okay, and not be afraid. Just call yourself out and throw it out there and let everything just bounce off like you don't give a crap. Or you go the Dorian Yates route and you just don't respond at all and you don't put anything up and you just be quiet and you show up every year and you win your shows. That's the best way to be when you're competing. And I think that's what Phil did. Phil kind of just kept it quiet. He didn't really say much. After the show, he did interviews, and that's it with a couple people, and that was it. But that's why he was so quiet. I think that's why a lot of these Olympia winners, after they're done, they're dying to talk, because all these years they kind of just kept quiet. Like Dorian just never said anything, right? Now Dorian's like one of the most outspoken people on social media. Same thing with Phil. Phil was very quiet. Now he talks. He's doing analysis with us. He's doing wrap-ups with us. So he never would have done that, because he had a lot to say. He knew that he had to keep his mouth shut, because he didn't want to argue with morons online. And that's just the way it is. I think that's a better way to be. Don't try to fight with these idiots. Just be yourself. Show up at the shows, win them. That's what Derek's doing, and I think he's doing a really good job. I think he's a great ambassador.
100%. Look, I think. Look, again, I think it's a matter of. I think we're at a point right now, and I know you and I talk about this a lot. This bodybuilding industry right now, I think there is a somewhat of a soul searching that needs to be done, because I feel like, we all want to be one thing, but we're really becoming something else, right? We all talk about, we need to be a little bit more positive, but the only thing that really sells right now is the negative. It's the only thing that sells right now. The only thing that's going to drive clicks, conversation, is the rage bait aspect. It's finding something to, all right, take somebody else down. Finding something about somebody's personal life and now using that to take them down. That becomes the center point of the conversation right now. And it's like, okay, you want to be taken as, all right, you want to be taken as a fan base that's talking about bodybuilding or bodybuilding analysis or whatever. Well, let's talk about that. And let's actually enjoy that, right? Dave, there's a reason why we don't do too many more interviews on this channel, right? People always ask us, well, why don't you do interviews anymore? There's a reason for that. Because you can have the most cutting-edge interview with somebody, with an up-and-coming bodybuilder who has a great story, overcame adversity, and now is, attaining their pro status, what have you. Nobody's going to watch that. Okay? That same bodybuilder could, get, lose their torso in a car accident, and you make a reaction video about that. That video is going to get 240,000 views.
Right. Well, I interview the pro winners, just because the overall winners of the major shows, just because I had a respect for those guys. But that's I know what you're saying. I want to get one more story. I want to get to this Smiev update, because this guy is I think I'm pronouncing his name right, but he's a freak. This guy. I mean, everyone's obsessed with this guy.
Okay, now I was about to pull that same one.
I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Perfect. Yeah,
but I mean, this guy is nuts looking. I mean, I wonder does any of us know what his goals are? Does he want to compete? I mean, does he want to be a a top pro bodybuilder? What's his goals here? Is he just wants to be a monster? I mean, the guy got some very, very dense muscle on him.
No, and what's crazy about these pictures is that he's barely flexing, if at all. I mean, but you're talking about freakish size. I mean, look, obviously he's known for his freak, strength. I mean, look, it reminds me of. I mean, I don't want to make a direct comparison, but it's like Andrew Jack, right? Andrew Jack got his start in bodybuilding by doing what, right? I mean, you find he was always into training and everything like that. Then he starts making these videos with Larry Wheels, right? And then all of a sudden, people in Larry's Wheels audience started wondering or asking out loud, like, who is this guy? This guy's got an amazing physique. What the hell? Like, he should compete. And then all of a sudden, one thing leads to another. I'm not saying Smiev is going to have the exact same trajectory story as an Andrew Jack, but I mean, clearly, and here's the other thing. He's on his own, standing by himself. Obviously, we don't know what he's going to look like next to somebody else, but he looks like a freak. And it is exciting. It's another potential kind of out of nowhere talent in this sport where, again, that does make it exciting, right? This is not your standard typical story of guy who, has Dorian's poster on his wall and he's been eating 6 meals a day in high school or whatever. This is guy who was training in some Siberian forest, and now people are wondering, like, could he actually compete on a bodybuilding stage? Will he rock the neck beard? He really looks.
He really looks like Jimmy the Bull when Jimmy was in his 20s. If you go back and look at Jimmy the Bull, he had this. Jimmy had very big arms. He had he was prematurely balding like this guy. Jimmy didn't have the legs this guy had, because Jimmy wasn't really training his legs that much. He was more into karate and martial arts, but he had a big upper body like that, and it was like that burly, like dense. Look, you only get that look from lifting heavy weights, and Jimmy was lifting crazy heavy weights too. So this guy obviously would be a better bodybuilder than Jimmy was, but Jimmy was, so crazy strong and just doing insane lifts. And this guy reminds me. Now, I don't know what he wants to do with it. I mean, he obviously could be a social media, I guess you could say celebrity just by doing all this craziness. But the question is, does he get on stage? Does he try to compete? I don't know. Maybe he won't do well. He might have like too much of a power physique. Jimmy was, I guess, Don Ross, may he rest in peace, coined the phrase power bodybuilder for Jimmy.
Power bodybuilder, right?
Meaning
Yeah.
he can lift like a power lifter, but he looked like a bodybuilder. And that's what this guy is. He's like a power bodybuilder, maybe the second or third power bodybuilder of all time, and Jimmy made a very, very, very good living, never ever competing in powerlifting or in bodybuilding, just basically being a celebrity, doing appearances, working he worked for Metrics for many more years for sure. Had a very nice contract with them, made good money. So I don't know. Maybe Smaev will take that route. Maybe he'll get paid from some tree lumber company, for being a lumberjack. I don't know. But I love the fact that he does these creative videos with lifting all these crazy, insane weights.
I mean, I'm just looking at some of the comments. I mean, apparently, again, I feel like, look, have I heard of him? Have I seen his videos? Yes. Do I know much about him or what his aspirations are? No. But definitely is worth looking into. Okay, so apparently he's 160 kg, which is
his thighs are enormous.
Translates to 350 pounds. How tall is he? I don't know. But
he's not.
Again,
he's not. I don't think he's 350, but he's 26 years old, which is really young.
But I mean,
that's
again,
crazy.
I think it's well worth looking into now and seeing. Okay, well, again, if anyone in the comments wants to jump on, has he expressed any interest as far as like competing, or is this just something we're all kind of hoping for or whatever, based off just him posting pictures of himself?
I think we're all hoping for it.
Yeah,
I think we're all hoping.
It's gonna be one of those white whale situations.
The other guy he trains with,
if you see him, you see him.
Yeah, that other guy he trains with in Russia is insane too looking. So the two of them are crazy looking. But he doesn't have a small waist. I don't know. I don't know how this would translate to the bodybuilding stage, but I think he can make a lot of money online doing like Larry Wheels stuff. If he starts going around the world and doing like influencer videos and collaborations with people, I think he can make a lot of money for himself. He can certainly start a YouTube channel and have a very, very, very popular channel. I'm sure of it. I don't know how good his English is though. That might be the only thing he really wants to work on. I think if he can speak perfect English, he would be a super celebrity here in this country.
All right. Yeah, I was just looking up for a name.
Let's face it, that's where all the money is, right?
Right. So. Right. So Sergey Danilov is the name I was thinking about. So Sergey Danilov is another. I mean, he just won the 2025 the French Pro, right? And so there was there's videos of
he looks good.
Danilov walking around. This was at the Dubai Muscle Show, the one that was like just a few months ago.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the term called
mogging?
Yeah. They're like mogging, basically. Like they literally went up to Hottie, and it was like, again, Hottie has a hoodie on or shirt on or whatever like that. We're not talking about stage, but I mean, you just see the sheer size of these dudes. I mean, they're massive. I mean, they're huge. Now, this guy Danilov.
Yeah, what's going on with Hottie? Is Hottie getting some back?
About what?
I feel like we have a pause. There's some sort of a pause between us.
What did you? What did you say about Hottie?
I said, is there some sort of backlash against Hottie? I've been kind of picking up a vibe online that like he's getting, his fans are kind of turning on him a little bit.
For what?
Did you sense that?
No, I don't.
I don't know, for the whole Iran thing that's going on in Iran.
No,
I felt like there was some backlash a little bit.
No, I mean, look. Hottie has been, as far as I know, as far as I see on his Instagram, he's been posting on his stories, things supporting the people in Iran. I don't get this. I mean, again, I could look deeply into his comment section to see what people are saying or whatever, but I mean, again, I don't really see that as much of an indication because, look, right now, it's obviously a very tense situation. Emotions are running high. So it's almost like, you look right, people are going to scream, why didn't you look left? You look left, why didn't you look right or whatever. I'm not really sensing that people are turning on Hottie at all, to be honest with you. I think they're seeing him as they're thankful the fact that he's lending his voice, lending his platform to the people. So, yeah, no, I don't get that sense. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I see anything else where it's like I look in his comment section, it's like, oh, what the hell, blah blah blah, whatever. But yeah, no, I don't sense that at all right now with Farhad.
Well, it would be a shame. Yeah, it would be a shame if they did do that. I mean, but I have to imagine being Iranian is probably very difficult now with what's going on, the turmoil in that country over there. But send our prayers out to the people there.
Yeah.
I guess. Listen, Kai Greene, if you want to come on, if you want to do an full-length interview, I'd love to interview you. We've known each other for so long. I'd love to sit down and have a full-blown, up-to-date interview on where you're at, what you're up to, what projects you got going on, what you think about the current state of bodybuilding. Would you ever compete again for real, not just hype, and all that great stuff, about why you're still so big. I have a lot of questions for Kai that I would like to sit down. When I see him at a show, I don't really have a lot of time to talk to him. Usually we kind of just kibitz with each other a little bit and, crack some jokes, but I'd do an interview with Kai. I think that would be we could do a multi-part. We could probably do on Netflix, everything's 8-part miniseries. We could probably do an 8-part miniseries on the interview with Kai if we had to. But I think it would be very interesting. I think the fans would like it.
Chris made a good point. It's got to be a sit-down interview. Like when you interview him at the Arnold or the Olympia, generally speaking, first of all, it's going to be something more of a comedic sketch, right? It's going to be something funny. It's going to be something that's right down, Kai. And again, you and Kai do have a unique dynamic. So it's going to be something funny. You're really not going to get much of let's do a deep dive into the thinking of Kai and what his plans are, whatever the case be. So yeah, if you're going to do something like that, it has to be a true sit down. And I would even go as far as to say probably like in person if that opportunity ever presents itself. Because again,
definitely in person. I would like to. I would do it at the Arnold Classic if he's going to be there. We can set up a little hotel interview and talk for an hour and a half. If we have to. I think the longer the better. Long format's going to work well with Kai because this way he gets comfortable and we can get past all the the pleasantries and then we can actually get into some juicy topics because Kai and I go way back. We know each other a very long time. I remember when he was competing as a teenager and I was competing. I was like 22, 23 years old. I mean that's how long we've competed with each other. So there's a lot to talk about. So I think we're due for an update. So Kai, reach out to me. Let's do this. But for now, guys, we are out of time. Thank you for joining us live. And as we say every week with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
There it is.